Salut zusammen und herzlich willkommen bei Fujifilm Schweiz. Heute habe ich einen sehr speziellen Gast bei mir, das ist der Justin Stailey. Justin, ich muss jetzt auf Englisch switchen, weil mein Englisch ist vielleicht ein bisschen besser als dein Deutsch. So Justin, nice to have you here with us.
Very nice to be here with you.
So Fujifilm today introduced some products at their X-Summit. But before we talk about the products itself, could you introduce yourself? What are you doing at Fujifilm?
Sure. I'm Justin Stailey. I'm Senior Manager of Business and Product Development for Fujifilm North America, but I also am part of the global product planning team based out of Omiya, Japan. So I work with the design team on the products and what's coming next, and really translate what photographers want for features and making sure that we're including those into the cameras and products that we're producing.
Perfect. So today, or let's say in the recent X-Summit, Fujifilm introduced some very nice and important stuff.
Some very nice and important stuff, some things I am very excited about, right? And so to start, I'm going to start with X series, right?
Of course,
so the XT50.
Yes.
So great little camera. This camera to me is not a replacement for XT30. This is basically a baby XT5. So XT5 sensor, so 40 megapixel, 7 stops of IBIS. It doesn't have the weather sealing, it doesn't have dual card slots. But if you were traveling, if you were looking for small, lightweight,
compact,
high resolution camera, this is a great camera for you. One of the other things that I'm really excited about is the new dial on top. We now have film simulation
directly
direct
on the dial
wheel.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, in the last, I would say, in the recent years, this is picking up a lot.
Yeah,
and people love that.
Yeah, people love that. The ability to actually have user set ones, so that if your favorite film simulation is not on the dial, you can actually set 3 ones customized. Yes. And then also there is a position for command dial. So you can roll through all of the different film simulations on the camera body.
And even the shape is a bit different. I mean, here you can see when you use your fingers to adjust the wheel, it feels more comfortable for the photographer, but because you find the wheel. Yeah. That was different to the previous models, even if you're saying it's not like the newer model of the XT's double-digit series, but even though people would probably compare it one to each other.
I think a lot of people will compare it directly to XT30, XT32, right? But this design is much more rounded. So the shape of the camera is more round on the edges, and also it has a slight slope here.
Yeah.
Right. So the top of the camera bends in nicely, and is a nice sort of slimming effect on the camera.
And it has all the nice features which the compact travelers they like. Compact flash. I think it's the same like the XS20, isn't it? No?
Same as XS20. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
The EVF.
And everything else. Really a nice camera, and I think it fits perfectly with the new lens which was introduced in Australia as well.
Yes.
Let's talk about that one.
The new, and I hate to use the word kit lens.
Yeah,
I
understand this.
I hate to use that because this lens is an amazing lens, and even the lens it replaced, right? The original 18 to 55, that was sort of the 4th lens we introduced. So this lens goes back almost 10 years now.
Yes.
From when it was launched on the market. So now we have this new generation. So for the 40 megapixel cameras especially, this lens was a little, tired, I would say. This lens,
yes, of course, because when we introduced that lens, nobody knew the path which Fujifilm was going.
Yes. So allowing us to redesign this lens, it's a little bit different of a range. So 16 to 50 versus 18 to 55, a little sacrifice on the long end, but I think the advantages, a little bit wider angle, so that 24 millimeter equivalent and 35 millimeter speak, I think that's very much appealing to more photographers now, that they like a little bit wider, but also the weather sealing and the lens doesn't extend. So as I zoom this lens, it doesn't extend. The size
is more or less the same.
Is the same, except when this lens is zoomed, right? This lens gets longer, right? Yeah. It gets longer. So even both lenses at say 50 millimeters, right? The size difference becomes much more pronounced now.
Yeah,
where we have
absolutely.
that. So the advantage of weather sealing, there's no OIS in this, but all of our 40 megapixel cameras have IBIS.
They are equipped
So
with IBIS.
it's
yes.
kind of not necessary to have it in a lens like this. So it's a really nice, compact, amazing package. To me, for traveling, it just makes a great little lens.
I mean, together with the XT50, it's really an amazing kit. We don't like the word kit, but it's a kit now.
Yeah.
And you can take it everywhere you want. And having the opportunity to do directly the film simulation, having a new lens which does not expand. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really, really cool. I think a lot of the users out there, they're gonna enjoy this camera together with this lens.
Yeah, it's an amazing little two-piece combo there.
Absolutely. So let's switch to the GFX systems.
yeah. So the big announcement in GFX is GFX 100S2. And if we would pull out a GFX 100S, it looks the same, right?
Yeah,
so the body size,
it's the
everything, the buttons, the dials, all the same. The quick thing to see, right?
It's just
the
a little,
Bishamon coating. So yes, the body covering on this is same as
the
GFX 100
the flagship.
2.
Yeah.
Same style coating. I love this pattern.
Absolutely. Many people who take the GFX 102 in their hands, they're saying, "Wow, that feels much more like a car tire has more grip." Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of shark skin.
Yeah.
Like if you've ever
Yeah,
handled some old cameras had shark
Yes.
skin coverings. It has that grip to it that
It feels so good. It feels so good.
feels so good in the hand. Yes.
But what's the major differences inside?
The major difference
the core differences.
is fifth generation processor. So just like the GFX 102, this now has the AI intelligent autofocus.
Yes.
It can do up to 7 frames a second, if my memory is correct, and really adds the tracking capabilities that we added there. So more limited video capabilities from 102, but in a still world, slightly smaller buffer, less burst shooting capabilities out of this camera. But for most photographers working in the landscape,
For example,
or
yes.
travel,
It has to be compact, traveling together, let's say, with an X system.
yeah, this
Depending on kind of photography you're doing, you're using the GFX system or you're using the X system. So the core difference is really much the autofocus and all the stuff of artificial intelligence, which has
adding all
found
of the,
its way in the GFX system.
the subject tracking, the face and eye detection
Yeah.
being improved, all of those features being added to the new camera with the 5th generation processor. So that's the really big difference, is what that brings forward in this camera.
Very nice, very nice. If you have to lose some words about the differences between this camera and the flagship, I think it's more if somebody wants to have an attachable hand grip to make it a full body, or to detach the viewfinder, put a tilt adapter on it. There are other things like the viewfinder, for example, resolution of
The resolution of the viewfinder,
is
the
better.
frame rate
Yeah.
of the viewfinder is better on 102.
Yeah,
And then also like connectivity.
yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
If you want to use an external monitor, you have full size HDMI.
Yeah.
Here you have micro HDMI.
Yeah.
So little things like that are just better on the other camera.
But the price is not that, the gap is not that big anymore.
Correct.
How it was when we had the GFX 100 and the GFX 100S.
Correct.
The
yes.
price gap was really big. And now you can either choose this way or this way, and the price are pretty much not equal, but they are closer
They're
to each other.
much closer in relationship to each other. So it's not as much of a budget choice. It's more of a
what do you need as a
which
photographer?
tool is the best tool for me, right? If you're a cinema person and want to make films on GFX, GFX 102
Absolutely.
is your camera,
It's your camera.
because it has way more capability. This has some capability. We can't do ProRes internal, but we can do ProRes external.
External, yes.
So it has SSD recording, so we can plug an SSD in just like 102.
Yeah.
So there is some of those features, but just not quite as sophisticated with all the formats and all the aspect ratios.
So it's really much for somebody who is, I would say, is doing sometimes some clips
Yes.
while he's traveling or taking images, and the other one is more the professional, the more sophisticated.
More sophisticated, more someone that is making probably more advanced films.
Well,
And along with this guy, don't forget one more thing.
Yeah,
Right?
one more
Famous
thing.
one more thing.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
This has been on the lens roadmap.
It's nothing new, but we have it
We
here
have
for the first
it
time.
here for the first time.
Yes.
So the GF 500 millimeter f5.6, and we have the 250 millimeter here also, just for size comparison. Yeah.
If you put it side by side, you see there's not such a difference, but the double
the focal length, and the diameter is basically identical.
Yes.
Right. The barrel size, the feel of this is basically identical. It's just a little bit longer.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, it's
has to be.
500.
It has
but
to be a
even
little
though I think we are talking about 250 and 500.
Yeah.
And let's say somebody says, well, that's not enough. He can use the teleconverter.
Teleconverter goes on this lens also.
And you could also use the GFX as a full frame camera.
Correct.
So it expands until 700 something.
Yeah. Depending upon what your needs are, you're right. Because if you set this to 35 millimeter crop mode, right, you can reach out even farther. But even just the 102 megapixel, if you needed to crop, there's lots of room and lots of flexibility to crop.
And with the new autofocus, artificial intelligence, it becomes much easier to do wildlife with the GFX system.
And then the weight of this lens also. That's the thing that really surprised me when I first picked it up.
It feels like the 250 has more weight.
Very similar in weight to the 250.
Because it's longer, it seems to be more lightweight. That's incredible. So we were really amazed about those products. I think our audience as well. Ich hoffe, ihr habt das richtig genossen, so wie wir. I think we are having fun with this stuff. Und solltet ihr noch Fragen haben, dann könnt ihr uns Kommentare hinterlassen bei uns auf der Kommentarliste. Und Justin, thank you very much for being our guests once
Always
again.
a pleasure.
And let's see where we're going to meet again. Danke vielmals fürs Zuschauen und bis nächstes Mal. Danke, tschüss zusammen.